Hi guys, and welcome back to the Oliato Gaming YouTube channel. Today we got another video on Football Manager 2024, and it's something that I don't really see many content creators using in the game. Now, I'm not saying none don't, just that it's something that isn't maybe appreciated or talked about in terms of tactics and things like that on Football Manager. So we're going to cover a couple of things that I like to do in my save today that I find make a suitable difference, but obviously, you have to um, keep it in mind with your team tactics, your player instructions, which you've got a video up already on the channel, and obviously the quality of players and things like that. But just a little thing I like to do, particularly on lower league saves, that obviously we are very much about here on the Oliato video gaming channel. So we're going to go into our San Marino save that we stream live on twitch.tv/Oliato. Now, the first thing I always like to do is, you might be familiar with the screen. It's something that you generally just click and you kind of gander over, and then just kind of don't really take too much stock of it. The one thing I always like to do is, if you look on the expected lineup for the opposition team, it gives you a little snapshot of how they're going to play, but also gives you some roles, and it will also point out players that are performing really well. So as you can see, the top scorer up front, 6 goals in 12 games, not particularly great average rating, so it doesn't tell me he's the most clinical striker, and he is on the pressing forward role. Now, the winger over here, he's doing quite well, and on the other side, so straight away you think, okay, he's pressing forward. They've got 4 players high up the pitch, so they're going to probably press you pretty high. And also with these roles here, it says that they like to exploit the flanks. So you imagine, if you're picturing their tactics, they exploit the flanks and press very high. As you can see at the back as well, they have 2 wing back roles. Not necessarily the best in the world, but gives you an idea that, and particularly the centre here, they're not offensive roles. They're a ball winning midfielder and a DM. So they very much want to primarily trap you inside, because that's where all the defensive players are, and hit you on the counter on the wings. Now, what we can do is go into our team selection here. And this is our team. We don't think we're going to change it very much. We've got the play instructions on a few players that, again, we've gone through on a different video and things like that. So I'm just going to quickly cast my eye, just make sure I'm not going to make any changes here, which I don't think I will. So we've got our way of playing. We, similar to them, exploit down the flank, and we don't really press too high as much as they do. But obviously, you think their formation, it very much mirrors ours. However, these two are a bit further back on the pitch, so you think they're going to absorb pressure and then hit you on the break. So just something to bear in mind. But because of the way we're playing, we're quite a good team at the moment. The average ratings on the best players don't really intimidate me too much. Now, one of the things you can do if you want to counter their tactics is, and you notice on the top right here, there is tactical advice, and you can go to next match only. So what this allows you to do is to make changes to your tactics to nullify the the danger the opposition pose. So obviously they're going to look to attack on the wings, so we're going to go trap inside. I'm very happy with our line engagement. I don't think we need to change that to nullify the dangers and everything they're playing there. Again, fairly early in the season, so we're not going to put too many team instructions, and half the reason for that is, I'll show you in a second on the next couple of screens what the main thing about the video is today. So we've got this obviously pre-match screen. We're all very happy about that. Teams are walking up. Now, your assistant manager, or whoever you got assigned to do these tasks, will give you some tactical advice. Now you go, do it, get into the game, let it play out. Now, we'll do the dressing room. We're on a good run. Nothing too crazy there. Now, the main thing about this tactic, or sorry, this video today, is you go into the opposition, and here is where you can set instructions for specific players. So the first thing I like to look at is look at their forward, the pressing forward. Now, obviously, you might not sort of know what the good stats are or good attributes for the San Marino Premier League, which is where we're in now. But it would say that he's a fairly decent striker. He hasn't got the great jumping reach, and he's very short. So floating crosses is not going to be something that you need to worry about. So you can encourage crosses in a way. However, obviously his main attribute is obviously his pace, and he's got fairly good anticipation. Dribbling's okay, so he's going to maybe try and break the line, or he's going to try and dribble past your players. Now, obviously on the wing, now you notice here he's a left-sided winger with the left foot, so he's going to want to hit the wings, and he's got decent crosses. Now, the striker isn't too good in the air, and if you look at some of his other attributes, finishing's not great. So what we're looking at here is, what do we want to do with this guy? His work rate's not the best. He's not the tallest. He hasn't got the greatest jumping reach. So what I'm going to say is we want to send him. Now he's left-footed on the left-hand side. Now we've got trap inside on our team instructions. So you're already going to be showing him onto his weaker foot anyway. So we're going to leave that as it is. Now if we look at the central attacking cam, 16-year-old Samarisian, so that's good to see for our save. As you can see, his main attributes, he's not crazy, but what he's got is very good bravery. So what you don't want to do is, I mean, you can link it to other attributes, but you know, his aggression is not too bad. His strength's not the best. But I would say you probably don't want to necessarily go tough tackling on him. If you look on his first touch, now his first touch is only 5, and his composure is very low as well. So what I want to say is you want to trigger the press, which, in all fairness, the assistant coach has already got on there for him. Is there anything else? So what you can do is tight marking, trigger press, you're tackling, and showing onto this foot. So he's not necessarily the most creative either. But what I like to do is show him onto his weaker foot. So you want to show him onto his left foot. His technique is not too bad actually. Similar with the striker, he's right-footed as well. So we're going to say show him on his left foot. So if he's going to get a shot off, if he's going to get a pass off, it's with his weaker foot. His attributes aren't the best in the world anyway. So if you are going to put him onto his weaker foot, they're going to be, you know, even worse than that already. Now this guy is very quick. He's got okay anticipation, but he's very quick. He's got decent dribbling, and he's right-footed on the right-hand side. His passing's pretty good. His vision's not the best, but his bravery's really low. So what I'm going to say on here is tough tackling. Now the other thing you can use to gauge where if you want to put something on here is look at what your left back is and what his strengths and weaknesses are. Now obviously if he's quite a good aggressive fullback, and say if he's got good anticipation and maybe good pace as well, you can put tight marking on this guy. So what that means is that he can match him in a foot race, but also if they're playing into space, he should anticipate that and also blight that off and basically nullify the threat that this guy is, because obviously these are the two main areas where they deliver goals. So the more defensive players, I wouldn't necessarily need to put a certain instruction on. Now I have got attribute masking on, so we don't have a great breakdown of how these players play. As you can see, his first touch isn't the best, but there's nothing really here to kind of worry about too much. If you also look on the other guy, you know, he's playing out of position as well, but he's fairly solid. We know him because he plays for the national team, and we're also the national team manager. But you could always look at something like composure, first touch, and if it's quite low, you can trigger press. and what that'll do is it will help you turn over the ball high up the pitch. But as he's fairly decent, fairly competent, I don't really see a need to put certain instruction. But the thing I've already noticed as well as casting my eye over these players is that their jumping reach is generally very, very poor. So I'll have a look at the defence. Again, the left back has got 4 jumping reach. So straight away, if I look on the guy on my right hand side, which I will do in a second, in fact I'll do now. So my right winger here is even worse. So there's nothing to get too excited out of. But obviously if he's someone who's quite tall, then you can look to maybe hit the diagonals and things like that and basically isolate the fullback against the taller attacking winger. But obviously as he's not so great either, there's nothing to really take advantage of there. But obviously, again, his bravery's not great, composure's not the best in the world, first touch is not the best. So I could say we should probably trigger the press there, particularly if you've got high working wingers in that area of the pitch. That will be the ones that actually apply that pressure. Obviously, if they haven't got great work rate or great stamina and stuff like that, it's probably not be very fruitful. But obviously, if they do, if when he receives the ball, he hasn't really got the time to kind of pick a good pass, he's going to make the wrong decision. Again, turn the ball up high up the pitch. Obviously, we know Gegenpress is very OP in Football Manager, but we're pretending that's not the case, and we're just looking there for by and by. This guy is fairly decent, fairly tall, so there's nothing really there to take advantage of. There's nothing spectacular there. But generally, you find there's less things to put on the defenders. It's more nullifying the opponent's attack that these instructions are very good for. Again, first, nothing too crazy there. Decent jumping reach. Now, I know my strikers aren't the best in the air, so there's nothing aerially in defence to really take advantage of here, apart from obviously you could get maybe the centre forward to attach himself onto the left back. As you can see, the right back's very good. He's got good natural fitness, so he's probably going to get forward. And as you can see from his role and the screen we saw earlier, that they play him on the wing back duty. So he has not too bad stats. Composure's okay, decent bravery, and things like that. So as we've gone through the team, we haven't added too many, but we've added a few things. And one of the things I mentioned in the other video is not putting too many instructions on your team instructions, because some of these might contradict those. And particularly if you're playing lower league, it's important not to overload everyone with so much information, because basically they'll just kind of cancel each other out. And then when things start going wrong, you don't know what to tick or untick. And most people panic and start ticking even more boxes. And ideally, you actually want to revert it back to basics, leave stuff more organically, and then decide what you're going to do, because the fewer instructions you have, the more important, the more prevalent they'll be. So it's why it's important just to do stuff on critical strengths and critical weaknesses, basically. So if I just go back to here, so just general overview, tough tackling on players that have got low bravery, but I also take into account the strength, the height as well, just the general physicality of the player, things like that, and determination as well. So if they've got low determination, they haven't got great bravery, a couple of tough tackles, they're not going to want to know. And we all know, players generally lower leagues in real life that kind of have that. They're very good if they're allowed to play, but a couple of tough tackles on them, you might pick up a yellow or two, but basically they're just not interested afterwards, and then you nullify that threat. Now, if he's got good first touch, but not great acceleration, I would be looking to tightly mark him, or you trigger a press to him depending on your defensive players around him. But you also want to show him onto the weaker foot. Again, like I touched earlier, that if someone's doing something with the weaker foot, if you imagine these attributes are for the stronger foot, so if you show him onto the weaker foot, his passing might only be 6 or something like that, basically, and you're just lessening the chance of them being able to do what they want to do with the ball, really. Um, so the other thing as well is look at the foot, look what they want to do. So say if they're right-footed on the left-hand side, they're always going to want to cut in. So I always send them to the outside. Now you can do that for your team instructions, or you can do that on the individual player instructions. Now the good thing about the individual player instructions is you might have a player on the right-hand side who's right-footed, so he wants to go on the outside, and then on the other side of the pitch you have a player on the left-hand side, but he's also right-footed. So you have one player hitting the wing, one player cutting inside. Now, if you've got trap inside or trap outside, it's only 50% effective for the attacking threat. Now, if you set the play instructions to the individual and say, right, the winger on the right hand side, if he's great at crossing but not so good at passing and shooting, then you definitely want to send him inside because you're taking away his crossing ability, but you're allowing him to try and use a much weaker skill or strength in his armory. And the same on the other side of the pitch where he wants to cut inside, maybe his crossing's not great, maybe the central striker, a bit like them in this team here, they're not great in the air. So if you've got an inverted winger who wants to cut inside, pass the ball, dribble, shoot maybe, you take them away if you send him to the wing onto his left foot on the left wing, and then it encourages him maybe to try and cross the ball where it's not going to be as effective because of the crossing ability or also who he's crossing to in the area. So basically that is it on today's video. Like I said, I've touched on all the other bits of the tactics, but this is something I don't generally see many people doing. I find them really effective lower league as long as you're sporadic with them. But also it's very good when you got into a team, you haven't really started recruiting yet, and you're not quite got players in the right roles, you haven't got quite the right tactic or something like that. But I find this is really, really quite effective and something I don't see that many people use on their saves, or at least they don't show it on stream or show it in their YouTube videos. So just thought I'd cover it today and generally the thinking around it. So just basically send people onto the weaker foot on the wings. Um, show strikers and playmakers onto the weaker foot, and obviously if they've got low bravery and aggression or strength and things like that, get some hard tackles on them. Now, obviously, you have to consider your players up against them as well. So, if you're a stronger team, you can be a bit more aggressive and things like that. Obviously, if you're a weaker team, then maybe you have to be a bit more careful and just kind of let the opposition play further away from the goal and just worry about the players that are basically a real direct threat. But anyway, I've rambled on enough today. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. If it has done, then please leave a like and comment, and obviously don't forget to subscribe. All that good YouTube nonsense stuff. And don't forget to catch us on Twitch. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys, and goodbye.